Hey there, welcome to White Women Wake Up. I'm Karen.
And I'm Jonelle.
Each week, one of us brings a topic to the table, something we've been wrestling with and reading about or noticing in our own lives.
And the other reacts in real time. No scripts, no prep, just honest conversation between a mother and daughter spanning generations and what it means to wake up as white women in a world shaped by bias, power, and inherited patterns.
We don't always agree, and it's not always comfortable, but we show up anyway.
Yes, we do.
Let's wake up. It's always so funny when we do our intro and you're like waving for those of you watching on YouTube. I get so distracted.
I know. You're like, hey, who's she waving to?
Who's she waving to? Hi, Jonelle. How are you?
That's so funny.
Oh, my God.
You're like, hey, okay.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Did you do your reflection? Oh, wait. You have announcements.
I have announcements.
Okay.
I was going to ask, do we want to do announcements
Sure,
first?
go for
We want
it.
to do reflection? Okay. Everyone, bear with me. I have 3 big announcements. So it's going to take a second, but we are excited about a lot of things happening. So the first is we've officially launched our banned book club.
Yay.
Woo!
I've started reading.
I've started reading
And
too.
okay, for readers, don't freak out. It's not a hard read. It's a good read. It's more of it's hard emotionally, but it will move you through. You'll be able to move through the book.
It's a good story.
Yeah,
so
it's a good story.
Our first meeting is Tuesday, February 10th at 5:15 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll be gathering over Zoom. We know some of you that might mean having to listen in traffic or, we'll work on the time together, but this was the best for both our East Coast and West Coast friends. But we are kicking off with the Book of Unknown Americans by Christina Enrique. We chose this book because it centers human stories behind immigration, love, grief, belonging, and it's been banned for telling those stories honestly. Yeah. So as you know, this is not necessarily a traditional book club. We're going to be using excerpts, shared context, and guided conversation. So honestly, there's no pressure to finish the book. We would way rather you show up, listen, engage in conversation. All of that counts.
Yeah, we're using it as a conversation tool.
Yeah, and just building community. So it's free to RSVP. It's open to all genders, all races. So bring family and friends. It should be a good time. You can sign up on our website. What are you laughing for?
Well, I like to read, so it's a good time for me. So I was laughing when you said it should be a good time.
Well, no, but I think anything about like engaging good conversations So anyways, you can sign up free on our website. Just go to whitewomenwakeup.com, click the banned book club on the top nav. Choose the event that you want to go to. We have 4 books out there right now. Again, the first one is in February, but they'll happen on the second Tuesday of every month. And then RSVP, and that's the only way you'll get reminders or the Zoom link is after you RSVP. So we would love to see you there. We already have a couple people signed up, so It's really exciting. But yeah, no pressure here, just good dialogue about honest topics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a big one we're excited about.
One of the reasons I think too, like emphasizing why we're doing a book club is you and I are both big believers that we gain empathy by hearing other people's stories. And so these stories, I think, are important.
Really important.
Whether they're fiction or nonfiction, they help us think about engage in other people's lives that are beyond ourselves.
Well, and it's not even a belief. It's been
it's
factually studied, proven that reading builds empathy. Understanding. So that's a great one. Okay, second announcement. So I want to share about a quick event that's happening in the Seattle area. So if you're local to Seattle, please come join. This is an event that's very close to my heart. I know some of our listeners know that I volunteer with SYM Seattle. And so I cook pancakes every Thursday morning for SYM. And this is an organization that supports unhoused youth and young adults in Seattle. And it brings them life skills, resources, builds out relationships for these youth. And in 2025 alone, they've welcomed young people with Good Morning over 8,260 times.
That's amazing.
So we have a lot of people passing through those doors, and they are hosting a bingo night. And the most exciting part for you listeners is I am the bingo caller. So it's going to be a fun time. So please, it's on February 12th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Ravenna Brewing Company.
In Seattle.
Tickets are $15 for students, $25 for adults, and that includes a drink ticket and 3 rounds of bingo. And you'll get chances to win big prizes for donating from local businesses. And then there'll also just be opportunities to support through additional donations. So if you're local, come hang out, drink a beer, play some bingo, and really support an organization that is doing amazing work. And it, like I said, is really dear to my heart.
And go up to Jonelle and say, you are a White Women Wake Up listener.
Yeah, exactly. You can also come meet me in person if you don't know me already. I will be the one calling out B22. We'll see. And then, but you can also learn more at symseattle.org. Please register there, or you can register at the event. I'm going to keep
email you at hello@white.
Yeah, and I can give you the info.
.com.
You definitely can, and I will email the information. Or again, like I said, show up to Ravenna Brewery at 6 p.m. from 6 to 8 p.m. on February 12th, and you can register there as well. So just come out and support a great cause, or watch me embarrass myself. Either one, whatever your motivations are. And then speaking of bingo, our final announcement today, our 2026 White Women Wake Up Accountability Bingo card is officially available to download on our website. We sent it out by email last week, so check your inbox. But if you are not part of our subscription, then go onto our website and you will see a nice flashing banner where you can download it. And this card is just about practice, not perfection. It's about checking off what feels possible and taking accountability as community together. So some of the fun highlights on the bingo card are visiting a museum or a cultural center focused on underrepresented histories, reading a banned book or joining a banned book club. So we can help you check that off. Paying for BIPAC writing or art that you might normally consume for free. So these can be things on Substack or, find small local artists. Just make sure you're helping community out there. And then this one, volunteering with a local organization that supports people outside of your culture. So again, download the card, keep it visible, and join us this year as we show up with accountability.
I'm going to a workshop about an online workshop in a week about having these difficult conversations across party lines and so forth.
Love that.
Yeah, so
great.
I'm very excited about it.
So Karen's adding that on. For context, the bingo card.
That's on one of the bingos.
Half was filled out, and then the other half is half was filled out with things that we want to do as a community together. The other half are left blank for you to add some of your own goals in life. And they can be silly things too if you want to add. I was talking to a friend last week and talking about she had a birthday party where she bought a piñata for her birthday party, and it was just fun to go. She supported a local Mexican shop that hand makes these piñatas, and so that was kind of something fun I added on my to-do list. I was like, great, bring a piñata to a party is one of my bingos. So you can make them high, low, do what you want, what's fun for you.
But maybe even not only just doing that, but researching the history of the piñata, because it's not only just cultural appropriation. We want to understand and learn about the culture.
Oh, yeah. I guess I'm sharing, great point. I have other ones on there, other goals that are much stronger goals, but I'm saying for everyone, it can be fun. You can also do things that stretch your world through a fun lens. So that was an example of they don't all have to be reading a banned book or visiting a cultural center. It can also, But
the goal is to learn about each other's cultures.
Learn about each other's cultures and support people outside of your white culture. And buying a piñata at a local Mexican, that shop definitely supports people outside of my culture. So, but I agree, that was a good call on appropriation, not wanting, to be clear, anyways, the person who did it is from
yes.
And anyways, but download the card, share your bingo moments with us for a chance to be featured on the podcast, and let's just keep waking up together this year.
Yay. Good job.
Thank you.
I know. You are just doing it.
10 minutes to get through this announcement. Yeah, sorry, everyone.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to reflect on last week.
Great.
We were talking about this watchful dragon and the essence of some people have called it your ego. Some people have called it, just kind of that space that's trying to keep us in our old inherited systems, our defensiveness. And so it was interesting. I was at an event, and Jonelle knows this. She was actually at this event as well. And we were talking about people in general. And a friend of ours kind of turned and said, well, a normal person. And I didn't call it out. I didn't even notice it. And fortunately, one of the persons we were with did notice it and said, well, can you elaborate? What would you call a normal? Is that a white person in your purview? But I thought it was interesting.
For the context, there was more detail to that than we're really sharing. Is someone was speaking about a certain demographic.
Yeah.
And yes, in response, someone said, no, a normal person, inferring white people and stuff. And so that was...
And I thought about this, and I watched everything unfold, but I didn't say anything. I didn't, I was really proud of our other friend who jumped in and said, wait a second, can you clarify what you mean by that, right? But I started thinking about this term, a watchful dragon, and my complicitness or my silence was actually a form of this watchful dragon because it allowed me to comfortably stay in my old zone, which is kind of, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm not going to be the police here. And so I think it's so fascinating, like how easy, at least I am, I don't know about other people, but how easy I am to give that power to that watchful dragon.
Yeah.
Holds on to these patterns of familiarity of my inherited culture. So anyways, that was just one of my reflections last week.
Great reflection.
And trying to utilize that term of, what does it mean to keep going back to my same space and same zone of familiarity.
Yeah.
Instead of just speaking up. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I just don't think I like the term watchful dragon.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know. As you're talking, I've been trying to figure that out. And I
think the dragon is a metaphor for protection.
Yeah.
So it's like this, and it's
I get it.
And you're right. It does seem like the big tongue is going to roar out and be defensive.
I don't think that's my issue.
No, what's your issue?
I think my issue is so much of this, it doesn't just, it beats around the bush a little bit.
Yeah.
It creates almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy of putting it behind another wall because we're calling it. I mean, no, and I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong. Yeah. I've just been struggling with your topic last week and then even listening to you now.
Yeah.
Just feeling uncomfortable that I don't like that.
Well, one of the things using a metaphor or using a metaphor because it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're able to enter in the conversation a little bit easier because it isn't really supposed to shame us.
No.
It's supposed to awaken us. And so this idea that my ability to comfortably step back and stay silent, that watchful dragon kind of nudged me and said, here you go. I'm protecting you again. And this is how I'm protecting you in your whiteness. And so I think the metaphor of that dragon for me is helpful.
Which is good.
I don't want to spend the whole
No, we don't have to. I just was trying to think of my reflection. I just don't.
What would that be?
Yeah. It's not something that resonates with me.
Give you another metaphor. It was the C.S. Lewis quote.
Yeah, no.
And I did try to give another metaphor, but that, to me, that resonated, but didn't resonate with you, is this idea of our watchful algorithms, like the patterns that we have so centered in ourselves.
Oh, no, that is much more registering to me.
Did it?
Your algorithm of how your mind filters different things and orders.
Yeah, by my own choices.
Yeah. No, I think you misunderstood. I I even forgot you talked about that. Yeah. No, that was a much better metaphor. I think that's a much more powerful metaphor in my mind.
Yeah.
Of how.
Well, and for today's day and age, we understand how algorithms, when we choose one thing, it just keeps getting repeated and repeated and reinforced.
But it also filters. I think that's the difference of dragging in my mind. I mean, again, you're right. We don't need to keep going on this.
Yeah.
I just was sitting here thinking about why.
Yeah.
Why don't I like this concept?
Well, watchful algorithm, we'll come.
An internal algorithm.
An internal algorithm. That's right. That was the word.
I love it.
Okay, go for it, Jonelle.
So today,
your topic today.
My topic today. So we haven't done one of these in a while, but essentially what I was inspired by is history that has been erased, or history that has been whitewashed in a sense, kind of thing. And so I've done this in the past where I've brought up, trigger words. I brought up a list of things that, happen. And so this is kind of one of those episodes again, but this is rewritten history, things that we haven't really been untold. And so I have I think 10 interesting facts here.
Ooh.
or interesting history scenarios that we'll let's chat about. And I don't know if some the listeners may know of, some were aware of, some I was not aware of, and just kind of wanted to talk through it. So
the biggest challenge that Jonelle and I have in these conversations,
say this all the time,
is I just you say the word and I have so many ideas of now what I want to talk about. So I'm going to try to just stay focused in what you're saying.
Wait, what do you mean?
Oh, about history and erasure.
Well, you can add. I don't have.
Yeah, go for it.
This one's more open-ended. Okay. So this was the stat that actually kind of made me think about this. That, did you know, research estimates that after the liberation of Germany and after the liberation in World War II, Americans, approximately 14,000 German, English, and French women were raped by American soldiers.
In Germany?
No, across Europe.
Yeah, across Europe.
So the thing is, rape in general, awful.
Yeah.
But we have this heroic version of ourselves as liberation and liberating these states and these places. And yet 14,000, and maybe it's less than 14,000 soldiers.
That's crazy.
But it's 14,000 rapes occurred from American shoulders. So 14,000 women were raped in Europe.
This idea of I have power and I want to, use my power on someone who's weak.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's just.
And I mean, and it's heartbreaking in general in war, but you can see a little bit of the narrative of what can happen. But I think what's more heartbreaking, like I said, is the liberation.
Yeah.
These people, we came in as the heroes to free.
Well, it goes to show when you're down and out and you're feeling fragile, the people that you end up trusting.
Yeah. And then, so this gets worse. So they were able to try 100.
Now calls me a Debbie Downer.
No, these are some Debbie Downer facts.
Yeah, wow.
So they were able.
Oh, wait, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What made you go down that kind of rabbit hole of finding out? I don't know if I would have even asked that. What made you think about that?
This is, speaking of algorithms, this is my TikTok algorithm, it's just politically, with some of the scary things happening today, there's a lot of unknown facts around World War II that have kind of been popping up on TikTok. Yeah. Some are accurate, some are not. And so this was one that really hit me hard. They didn't give an exact number. It was just a generalization. And so I started researching this to see what is the truth behind this? This notion of, when you did your research, did they give any reason? Was it, I'm going to presume it has to do with power. It has to do with dominance. A lot of I remember having this conversation years ago with someone about why is rape even part of war? And that's what they said. But did it say anything why? It didn't necessarily say why. What I did research though was it was more common among American soldiers to be rapists than any other ethnicity. And so there's a local saying emerged: with the Germans, men had to camouflage themselves, but with the Americans around, we had to hide our women.
Okay, so let me ask you this too. Was it perpetrated towards German women. So in other words,
to French, English, and German women.
It was still French and English, so they were our allies.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the enemy.
No. Wow, and it was and I think again, because like rewriting of this history to make America the hero, to make the white man the hero.
All the time.
And again, I don't want to take away like the people from all the people who were truly heroes.
Well, I think that this
but that is a huge, that's a pretty big number.
That's a big number. And I think that this is the challenge in all what we're talking about is there's nuances. Like my topic that I want to bring up next week has to do, well, I'm not going to talk my topic, but there's a nuance in it. So you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then this is the harder fact too, is so they were able to try about 150 soldiers for rape and stuff. They assume there's much more out there.
Out of 14,000.
Of the 150 they tried, 139 were Black soldiers, despite Black people only being 10% of the force. And now, to be clear, listeners, what that tells me, it doesn't tell me that Black people are the number one perpetrator. What it tells me is that these Black soldiers were disproportionately tried.
Well, we're also...
And then also executed. So 25 of 29 executed soldiers were Black.
25 out of 29.
Yeah.
So out of the 14,000 rapes, we're looking at 100 and something that were convicted. And we're looking at...
And 90% of those were Black, when only 10% of the forces were Black.
And out of those... Wow.
I know.
It's just... Oh my gosh.
It's heartbreaking.
It's just heartbreaking what power and dominance and whiteness can do. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Are you ready for some other fun ones?
Yeah. Yeah.
While we're on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go. This one is something that I know we've talked about, but maybe our listeners don't know. Black women were excluded from the suffragette movement.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's a really big one. Susan B. Anthony really stated herself that it should be the most intelligent and capable portion of women first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think where this is,
and I think that this is interesting too, because when we talk about feminism, we're so proud of Susan B. Anthony and all these other women, Gloria Steinem, but we, when I say we, I mean white women, that we're not realizing how many Black people, Black women in particular, and I'm sure Black men, work towards the same cause and were just kind of pushed aside.
Yeah. Well, and I think what it's good to show, to your point, the history books really uplift Susan B. Anthony and the work that she did.
Well, we've talked about it again, this idea of nuance. It's so much easier to lift one or two people up and call them as amazing than it is to actually hear all sides of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, but again, it's a good lens for white women out there to kind of, again, understand why maybe so many Black women are hesitant to be part of quote unquote feminist movements. And because most of them tend to be white feminist movements. Like there's a choice there of they have to choose to like their race, to uplift their race or uplift their gender. Yeah. And in the scheme of things, white women haven't historically let them into our spaces. So so their support is going to be for their race and not gender.
And that's really outlined well in Hood Feminism.
Yes.
But I do appreciate...
Which will be a book eventually in our banned book club.
Yeah. It shouldn't be banned.
It should be
banned. But
I was warned it might be a little too much to start with. But that is my favorite book.
But it is fascinating that you're talking about this. So I was just doing some reading on womanist theology. And so womanist is a way of thinking about not feminism and not Black theology, but womanist. And we recommended a womanist book before, but that language, which of course, I think it's probably one of the banned vocabulary that's coming up. But it is a great word because it's looking at the issues of women rather just than certain groups. So anyways, looking that up, I think is important.
Oh, it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Next fun fact of this really uplifting
and I think this
episode.
But this is interesting that you're bringing this up again, back to Susan B. Anthony. One of the things I think I've had to really do, and we've talked about this before in issues, is like when we're talking about history, I don't necessarily want to erase Susan B. Anthony. I want to talk about the struggles that she had and why the choices she made. She made these choices because people could not understand media could not understand the fullness and the complexity of these issues. And she thought nothing would be done if we took everyone along, which is a really, kind of a capitalist mindset of limitation, right? So she tried, and yet, not the fullness didn't happen. And we need to understand that part of the story as well.
Well, and that's a good contextual point to what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to villainize anyone. I am not trying to erase, again, the amazing heroic soldiers of World War II or, Susan B. Anthony as a person. Because to your point, you do have to add contextually of that time.
Yeah.
But what we're also trying to do is add more information for the whole picture.
Yeah.
So other people's history isn't erased.
Yeah.
You can hold both is the thing. And a lot of people don't want to the complexity of holding both, that there's multiple narratives around there. And so it's the more you know, it helps you understand the context of history, where we were and how we can move forward.
Talking about stretching our imagination to hold the nuances.
Yeah.
And a lot of this is time. A lot of this is patience, being engaging in the conversation.
Well, I think for white women, it's really just education to understand.
But as we're erasing this education, which is so scary. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I was like, we have only a couple minutes left, and I have some interesting ones. So the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. I had not heard about this one. Okay, so this study, it was a government study, deliberately withheld treatment from Black men. So the study involved 400 African-American men with syphilis and 200 without, and they were observed from 1932 to 1972. All the men were informed that they had men were not informed that they had syphilis, so none of them thought they had syphilis. And even though penicillin became safe and reliable cure for syphilis in the 1940s, they were deliberately withheld treatment because they were told they did not have this.
That's tough.
And so the intent was justified, quote unquote, because there was beliefs that Black people were inherently prone to STIs and wouldn't seek treatment anyway. So they wanted to understand the development of it. I mean,
if you look at medical history, we have used Black bodies over and over for so many medical examinations.
Yes.
It's really actually
which horrific. Was going to be another one of Dr. J. Marion Sims. Have you heard of him? The father of modern gynecology.
No.
He is the father of what we know today of the understanding of gynecological medicine. And he actually performed experimental surgeries on Black slaves without anesthesia, starting as early as the 1840s. They were routinely used for medical experimentation.
And it's so funny that you should say that, because we are aghast when we hear that the Nazis did this on Jews and other, persons that they didn't think of value. And yet we did the same thing. It's just, it's horrific. It's horrific.
So I have two more that I just want to bring up.
And I also want to bring up a point too. So let's give me enough.
Really quickly. So this one, I know you and I both know about, and people in the Seattle area would, but this was surprising to me. This was not taught in Texas schools, because I went to school in Texas and none of my friends were ever taught this, that we had our own internment camps during World War II.
Yeah.
Japanese internment camps. Over 120,000 Japanese Americans who were two-thirds U.S. or known as two-thirds U.S. citizens were forcibly removed from their homes and imprisoned in concentration camps during World War II.
They will be now.
Oh God, we can't. And so this is really important to me because someone growing up in the Pacific Northwest, I was very well, like, versed on what happened and what we did to the Japanese people during that time frame, that it was shocking to find out that this is not commonly taught.
I wasn't taught
across
in my histories, but in my U.S. histories, I was never even taught the Reconstruction era. I never knew about it. Was like, oh, we released the slaves, and then what? And so this is really horrible, because the Reconstruction era is also a really important part of how wonderful the advancement of Black communities, and how quickly that was feared and shot down by so many different avenues from white people.
I know. Well, and I did have a couple on there that it was about that, like the Tulsa Massacre, the Wilmington coup. But the other one that I really wanted to bring up was the Native American boarding schools, or Indigenous people boarding schools. So the U.S. government had systematically attempted to destroy the Indigenous culture by kidnapping children and moving them to a boarding school with the hopes of slowly kind of getting rid of their heritage.
And one of the things that they would do is they would cut their hair. Guess what? What did we see in immigration pictures with the people going off to
concentration camps?
No, not the most recent immigration recently, were the 200 Venezuelan men. We saw them degrade people by cutting their hair. It's a really horrible thing. We see these repeat patterns over and over again.
And you were bringing up something so important of why I wanted to talk about these erased histories, is because what we are seeing today, we always assume, this stuff would have been seen in history. This stuff would have been talked about. But no, these big things were erased from a lot, and for a lot of reason. And we're seeing some very, very scary things against human beings right now.
Being
repeated, and just human rights violated, lives lost. And it's really important for us to understand what actually has happened in history and where we are going today.
And thank you, Jonelle, because knowing histories is actually just so important. It's really interesting. I mean, and we'll speak about this for ages to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you said you had one more
comment? Well, I think I'm going to bring it up later, because we're running out of time, and I want to make sure that that we don't run into any technical difficulties.
Well, anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us on White Women Wake Up. We hope today's conversation sparks something in you, whether it's reflection, a new question, or a deeper commitment to showing up with empathy and accountability. If you found this episode meaningful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can also connect with us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, or whitewomenwakeup.com. We love to hear from you and your thoughts, and keep the conversation going. Trust me, it makes my day when I get an email from, and so many of you listeners have been so great to reach out to us about a variety of different things, and truly you make my day. So thank you, keep it up. Until next time, stay curious, be open, and let's keep waking up together. Bye. Hi, I want to do a quick playback on where these facts came from, because when you're challenging the history we were all taught in school, sources matter. The World War II sexual violence numbers 14,000 rapes by American soldiers across Europe, the racial disparities in prosecutions, and that all comes from sociologist J. Robert Lilly's military record research and historian Mary Louise Roberts' book, What Soldiers Do, with the additional reporting from NPR in 2024. And now the racism in the women's suffrage movement, those quotes from Susan B. Anthony, and the exclusion of Black women are all documented by the ACLU, PBS American Experience, and Facing History and Ourselves. The Tuskegee syphilis experiment, the CDC itself maintains a webpage documenting the 40-year-old study, the 128 deaths, and the fact that no one was prosecuted. Now, the Indigenous boarding schools and the kill the Indian, save the man philosophy, National Park Service, the Library of Congress, and the comprehensive 2024 Washington Post investigation. Finally, I commented slightly on the Wilmington 1898 coup, and this is the only coup in American history. It's suppressed as a race riot for centuries. North Carolina's official 500-page state report from 2006, plus David Zucchino's 2020 Pulitzer Prize-winning book, Wilmington's Lie. All of this is documented, all of this happened, and almost none of it was in our textbooks. Thank you again for listening to today's episode, and keep on waking up. Bye.